So you need to remove the assets from your name before there's a problem, but maybe better yet, you never put them in your name in the first place. I know Walter does it this way. When he's talking to a seller, and I think Jim Ingersoll does it this way, Quincy may do it this way, when you're talking with a seller and you want to buy their property, don't buy it in your name or don't even necessarily buy it in an LLC name. Consider buying it in a trust from the get-go. So your name is never on the public record from day one. It started out being transferred into an entity or a trust that is not associated with you, and we'll talk about why that is in a minute. So build up your assets in somebody else's name, an entity or a trust, before you ever start. And if you do decide to transfer assets because you think you ran the stop sign and there's a problem, you can transfer assets, but you got to get fair market value for them. Got to get adequately compensated for what you've sold. So what good does that do you, right? You've got the $500,000 property on the record. Oh my gosh, I've just run the stop sign. It's going to be clear that I have $500,000 worth of equity in this property. Well, what if I sell it to Cheryl for $500,000? She gives me cash. Let's put that in a checking account. That's not on the public record. They won't know I have $500,000 in public record. They'll just sue me and get discovery and ask for my bank records, right? They can go to the Register of Deeds and see that I have $500,000 worth of equity. They can't do that with $500,000 worth of cash. It's not a fraudulent transfer. I got adequate fair market value when I transfer that. I'm just changing the nature of the asset to look like less of a big fish. Does that make sense to everybody? So anyway, that's just another little tip. All right, so I want to go now on to just trust in general. And this is going to be fast, and I am lightning lips, so if I am going too fast, throw up your hand and say, slow down. But I have found in 26, 27 years of doing trust that people don't really understand what that is. They'll say, well, what's a trust? They think it's like a box, like a physical thing. What, you just pick something up and put it in it? How do you make one? How do you put stuff in there? How do you take stuff out? So, you guys are all real estate people. You know what contracts are. It's like a real estate contract. A trust is nothing more than a contract. It's a contract between the grantor, the person who sets it up, and the trustee, the person who is tasked with managing it, right? It's just a contract. It is a contract for the beneficiary, for the benefit of a third party, i.e. the beneficiary. But it's nothing more than a contract. How do we make a contract? First of all, they're verbal contracts, but not valid when it comes to real estate that's something more than 3 years, right? You need a written contract. So you can have an oral trust, but I don't recommend them because then you're in court trying to prove what the terms of that oral trust are. So a trust is a written contract, the way I like it, between the grantor and the trustee. There are many, many, many different types of trusts. Two big categories. They can be set up during your life or to take effect upon your death. So that's one difference, during life, at death. They can be revocable, changeable, amendable, or they can be irrevocable and unchangeable, right? So those are the two big categories. During life, at death, revocable, irrevocable. Within those big categories, there's so many different types of trusts, it's not even funny. The purpose of what you want that trust to do is what dictates what type of trust you're going to use. So how many people in here have a revocable living trust for estate planning purposes? A few. How many people in here have an irrevocable life insurance trust? Okay, we got one, that's good. Two, I have one. How many people in here have a grantor retained annuity trust? No hands. How many people have, besides the eyelet person, an intentionally defective grantor trust? You know what this? Yeah, thought so. Then we call that an idigit, by the way. How many people have a charitable trust? See? Lots of different types of trusts that people don't have. So trusts can be either created by statute, like Florida has a statutory provision creating land trusts. North Carolina doesn't have that. So people in North Carolina say land trusts aren't legal here. We don't have a statute that says we can have a land trust. But guess what? If a contract is legal here, a land trust is legal here, or a trust is legal here, right? Some states, we may have to put certain provisions in the trust to make sure the court gives it effect, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But anywhere you can have a contract, you can have a trust. Some states' laws will make you put a few extra provisions in a land trust, for instance, but it's not illegal to have a trust where there's a contract.